Welcome back to The Wrap. This is usually the time that DA gives us his dish, but it's a bye week, so DA also taking a bye, maybe off on his yacht, getting one last sail. It's Ian Rapoport. Thanks for filling in for DA. Thanks for joining us here on the Patriots Wrap. Let's start out. Ian, by the way, works for the Boston Herald. Forgot to mention that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Ian, let's start out this spat that suddenly has come to the surface. Tom Brady, Randy Moss, something about Moss calling him a girl because of his hair. Are you hearing anything on this, and do you believe it?
First of all, Moss would not, if this was true, and I don't know for a fact that it is or is not, he would not be the first person to make fun of Tom Brady for his hair. I mean, I do it to his face, I would say, at least once a week. But, it's an interesting thing that's happening now. Randy Moss leaves, he goes to Minnesota, and all of a sudden, all these stories are coming out about what a terrible person he was. Well, I didn't hear anybody tell me this when he was still here, and even talk to the players in the locker room, whether you're holding a microphone or whether you pull them off to the side. They're not telling these stories either. I don't love the Randy Moss leaves and let's talk about what a terrible person he was. Do I think there's been arguments between them? Well, yeah, of course. I mean, anyone who spends 12 hours with each other are bound to get into some spats. Do I think they made fun of each other? Yeah, probably. I don't know that this led to a trade, and I think anyone else who's saying that it did is just being ridiculous.
You're there pretty much every day. Did you ever, and you kind of addressed this already, but did you ever sense anything between the coaching staff and Randy Moss, his teammates and Randy Moss, that there was dissension on any level?
I never sense any dissension. Talk to players, and they'll tell you all the time, Randy Moss is as good a teammate as you could have. He's also a little bit of a different kind of teammate. Mm-hmm. He's loud. He's demonstrative. I don't think he's ever whispered anything in his entire life. So it was always a little bit of a circus around him. Now, one thing I will say is Tom Brady spent a lot of time this year, in previous years, and I'm sure in 2007 when they were, creating, fireworks on the football field, I'm sure it was the same then. Mm-hmm. Randy Moss takes a lot of work. You got to massage him a little bit. You got to cajole him. You got to talk to him all the time. It's just he's a little high maintenance. And, I know that Brady did a lot of that. I think there's probably a weight lifted off his shoulders right now for not having to deal with it. But I'm just not buying that he was a terrible teammate just because he got traded.
Well, let's move on to the issue that is in the fans' minds. Is this a good move? Is it a good move for the Patriots? Does it hurt them? Does it help them? Or is it just something they had to do at this point?
I think best case scenario for the Patriots is Randy Moss plays out his year, puts up ridiculous numbers, shatters his own receiving record, and they go to the Super Bowl. Now, that makes sense from the Patriots' standpoint. If you're going to let him walk, you get great production, and that's fine. From Moss's standpoint, that doesn't make sense. He does not want to go into 2011 as a free agent with a potential lockout and not have a deal. Once he wants out, then you have a serious situation. And you can make nice and you can pretend you're going to sign him to a long-term contract, which they were not going to do, or you can make the best of what you have. And the Patriots trading Randy Moss, they got him for a 4th-round pick. They get all this production. They send him away for a 3rd-round pick. That's called an investment. I don't think it's the best thing they could have done this year, but it's what they had to do given the current situation, and you move on a little bit earlier.
Where do they go as far as moving on? I know in the Herald said there were preliminary talks between the Seahawks and the Patriots with the Deion Branch thing. Vincent Jackson's name keeps coming up as well. Where do they go from here? And is a move in their future, or are they just going to go with what they have?
I wouldn't be surprised if they make some move. I think it's going to be for a lower-level receiver. At this point right now, I don't see Deion Branch coming. I certainly don't see Vincent Jackson coming. You're not going to spend 2 high picks for a guy who could get a DUI tomorrow and be suspended for the season. He's 1 strike away. They're not going to bring him in here and then pay him when they wouldn't pay Moss. Branch, he's a big name. Tom Brady loves him. I can totally understand the lure. I'm just not convinced he's got that hop and a step he had here. I think what you do now is you turn to Brandon Tate and you see more of him. You reintroduce Julian Edelman into the offense, who he's been unbelievably quiet this year. Mm-hmm. And you spread it around. You reintroduce Tom Brady to his favorite receiver, which was the open one. It's been a couple years since Brady's been able to pull the strings of an offense with sort of equal parts on each side, and that's what you do. You trust in him, and you move on.
Another side of this that I saw you were working on is the Logan Mankins thing. He could be dangled in a trade. What is his situation? Would he be a part of a trade from what you're hearing? If not, is he actually going to come back and play for the Patriots again this year?
I think Logan Mankins would welcome a trade. I think if they were to say, we've worked out this deal, sign this restricted free agent tender, we're going to send you someplace, and then you'll get a long-term deal from wherever you end up, I think Logan Mankins would be fine. I'm just not convinced that the Patriots would do that. First of all, they don't want to trade someone just because they asked to be traded. Randy Moss was here. He could be a disruption. Mankins is gone. He's not anything. He's just not here. So I think right now it's completely up in the air. I'm not sure they trade him. I think there's a serious possibility he comes in week 10 and plays, the rest of the season and moves on and gets his year of free agency. But they've been close to a deal before. Even though both sides can't agree, there is unbelievably respect on both sides. I still think they could come to an agreement, but right now Logan Mankins is just nowhere. And I spent a long time talking to his agent Frank Bauer a couple nights ago. He doesn't believe the extra money freed up from Randy Moss from that trade is going to matter. So you just it is where it was.
What are you getting a feeling from the players? It's a bye week, so they have a lot of downtime to think about all this other stuff that's going on the outside. I know I saw Patrick Chung was the one guy that said, we're moving on, we don't worry about it, we just worry about it in the field. Is that the approach they're taking? Are they going to be able to get over all these distractions and just play football?
Well, it's going to be a different team for sure on Sunday against the Ravens. I think it needs to be, and that's what it's going to be. But the bye week, doing this trade in the bye week, was really the best answer for the Patriots if they were going to do it at all. First of all, Randy Moss is going to play for the Vikings and they hope beat the Jets. I mean, that would be, an unbelievable unintended outcome. But they needed to take a step back and take a deep breath and let all the craziness with Randy Moss go on. I think the Patriots, PR-wise, did a smart thing this year. Players did interviews. Bill Belichick did an interview. Everyone's addressed it. And they're going to come in on Monday, and they're going to start new. And there will be no Randy Moss there. Instead, there's a scout team quarterback in his locker, and you kind of just go on with the carnival out of town.
Let's look ahead to next week when they do come back and play the Ravens. Is Bill Belichick going to continue to play the underdog role that he seems to like to play, that he kind of played up a little bit in Miami? Baltimore beat them last year. Here, is he going to play that up as the underdog? We don't have Randy now. Let's go out there and try to take on the one of the powers that be in the NFL.
Yeah, well, he can do it now because without Randy Moss, I think everyone's doubting them even more. I mean, Belichick's going to hear the question, did you give up on the season by trading Randy Moss? And I don't think that's fair to assume that they did. It's definitely fair to ask the question, but he can use this. People are going to doubt them, even with the blowout win of Miami that made Miami just look terrible. Now you trade Randy Moss, and the doubters come back again. He can use that to his advantage. I'm not sure how many times he can use it if they keep winning, but he's got another week out of it at least.
The next 6 weeks are pretty salty with the Chargers also on the schedule. The Vikings come to town. How do you see this playing out for the Patriots? They already have 3 wins under their belt. Is this still a good enough team to get into the playoffs and maybe be in position to even host a playoff game?
Well, hosting a playoff game is a little far-fetched, I think, at this point. But, I think I thought at the beginning, if the Patriots could get to the halfway point at 5-3, their defense is incredibly young. Mm-hmm. As young as they've been under Bill Belichick since he started in New England. So you figure they're going to get better as the year goes on. You get to 5-3 at the break, everything's okay. You can improve at the end. You get the tough part of the schedule out of the way. You faced the 2 toughest division teams on the road already. I think they can live with that. Now they're 3-1. They're in position to be exactly there. They survived this week. Even if they don't, they have another chance. You get to the halfway point, catch your breath, get your feet under you a little bit, and maybe get better at a faster clip than some of the other teams.
All right, thanks a lot for your insight, and thanks a lot for filling in for DA. We'll try to hunt him down and get him back here, and also for admitting that you called Tom Brady a girl to his face. Ian Rapoport of the Boston Herald, thanks a lot for joining us.
All right, thank
More
you for
rap
having me.
coming up after this.